Okay, today I'm going to show you how to do a temperature check with the Rada digital faucet and the Sage for Mobile app. So what we've got is an iPad mini, but the procedure is the same for an iPhone or an Android device. Make sure that you've downloaded the latest version of the Sage for Mobile app from the App Store and the Google Play Store before starting. Before we start anything, we're going to need to place the faucet into pairing mode. So at this time, I'm going to show you how to place the faucet into pairing mode. Okay, now we're over at the faucet. Each faucet comes with a service key that's a magnet. Go ahead and get that service key. And if you look on the back side of the service key, you'll see the magnet, a little silver round magnet. And you want to touch that magnet to the end of the spout on the top, right below the icon that shows a hand. You don't want to wave it, but you actually want to bring it in and touch it right to the tip. You will see the red spanner gear come on, indicating that the faucet is in pairing mode and is ready to communicate with your mobile device. Okay, now we're back over at our app. So the first thing you want to do, that since your faucet's in pairing mode, is go ahead and launch your Sage for Mobile app. Once you've launched that, the first screen you will see, we want to navigate to the bottom where it says Connect to Device, and we want to click on Connect to Device. All right, we have three options here. We want to do the Rada Digital Faucet option, so click on Rada Digital Faucet. Now the app is looking for your faucet in Bluetooth mode. If your faucet wasn't in pairing mode, as evidenced by the red spanner wrench in the upper left-hand corner video, you would not see anything here. So if you don't see anything here, no faucet icon or anything, chances are you're not in pairing mode at the faucet. Sage has found our faucet. There it is, and we're going to click Connect. Now we need to enter the PIN number. Each faucet is PIN protected. The default PIN out of the box is 5945. In our case, we've previously changed that PIN to 1234. So we'll enter that PIN and click Submit. Now we're actually connected to the faucet, and what you're going to see here is the dashboard. That's where we start, is on the dashboard. What you want to do is give it a few seconds to populate the dashboard, and then navigate to the bottom right hand corner. You see a little checkbox that says temperature check. Click on that icon. Okay, now we're in the temperature check screen. So what we want to do is agree that scalding temperature water may come out of the spout. If we have scalding temperature water available, click agree. The first step is to arm it, and the next step is to trigger it. So go ahead and click arm, then click trigger. Those are little toggle buttons there to the right. We're going to get a 10-second countdown, meaning that the faucet's going to get ready to dispense water. You see the blinking plus icon on the faucet, indicating that water is about to come out. What's going to happen first is that the faucet is going to dispense 100% cold water. So now we're flowing water. You can see it there a little bit in the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see our thermometer is going to go down to whatever the cold water is. So looking at our faucet diagram, while this runs a little bit, here what you'll see is right now what's happening is right here's our cold water. We have cold water coming out of the wall. We go right straight up into the faucet and out of the spout. There's no tempering valve below deck. There's no other tempering going on right now. The valve is not doing any blending. What it's doing is it's taking 100% cold water, allowing it to flow directly through the faucet and out the spout. So we are getting an accurate picture of what our cold water is at the faucet. This is going to run for approximately 2 minutes, or when it kind of settles out. So you'll see that it may fluctuate a little bit as it purges any water that may be warmer than the main as it evacuates the line. So depending on how far you are away from the main line, this could take, anywhere from only a few seconds to a few minutes. Okay, now what we've done is we've switched over to hot, because you've seen our thermometer there is jumping up. So now if you look at our diagram, what we're doing here is, again, hot water coming in here. 100% hot water is going up into the faucet, not through any tempering device, and is being discharged out the spout. That's why we had to have the disclaimer. So you'll watch our hot water temperature climb. Right now we're climbing 121. And this is important because we can talk about on the lower right hand corner there the Legionella temperature chart. And again, if you look at above 122, Legionella can survive but don't multiply. And per ASHRAE 188 and guideline 12, we want our hot water to be no lower than 122 degrees from a waterborne pathogen standpoint. So if you're not getting to above 122 degrees, you should definitely look into why that is. We're climbing nicely here. These are good temperatures. We like to see north of 130 if possible. Our faucets are rated to work in operation safely to 180 degrees and provide 100% anti-scald protection. So we're still climbing, and when we get to the top, what the faucet's going to do next is it's going to transition into the blended temperature mode, which is basically going to validate that the faucet is able to regulate temperature precisely, plus or minus 2 degrees, to our set point. And that's to validate that it will work properly as designed and that you have the proper water temperatures for it to properly regulate your water. So this is looking really nice. Love to see temperatures north of 130. Like I said, you can see in the bottom right hand corner at 140, we're killing Legionella within 32 minutes. And, we get up to 151 and we're killing Legionella within 2 minutes. North of 158, we've got a disinfection range. So we always recommend that you set your heaters north of that 140 if at all possible, and closer to the 158 so you get disinfection at your heater. And we can certainly have more discussions about that at a later date if that's of interest to you. But we're still climbing here, looking like we may top out around 150 here. And then we will transition into the blended temperature mode. And again, right now, if you were to try to interact with the faucet, it would immediately stop this flushing operation because we have very hot water coming out of the faucet right now. If you were to put your hand in there, you'd get scalded pretty quickly. So we want to stay back from the faucet while this operation is going on, but we do have a safety factor or safety feature that if a sensor senses a person's presence, it will shut off immediately and it will log this as a user interrupted. So while this is transitioning over, here we go. Now we're going into the blended mode. So I believe our set point temperature on this faucet is 102. So we should get to 102 and lock in. Plus or minus 2 degrees is our specification. So this is looking really nice. We're getting locked right in. And again, if you observe the flow coming out of your faucet at this point, that will be what your flow looks like as far as the shape of it and also the amount of it during normal operation when a person is using the faucet and adjusting the temperature on the fly. So we're looking good. We're between 101 and 103, which is right on spec. So it's going to complete this, and once we get to the end, it's going to actually give us a little dashboard indicating what our results are. While all of this is going on, the faucet is actually logging everything that's happening into a log file that resides on the faucet. Okay, so here we go. We've finished our temperature check. We can see that our cold water is at 54, and if we look over on the bottom right as far as our Legionella chart goes, we like that because below 68 Legionella can survive, but they do not multiply. That's good. We definitely don't want to be north of 68 on the cold side. We do see that in places like California and other desert climates, or where you may have a elevated water storage tank. But if they are north of 68, you should definitely take a look at your system and see what's going on. Our hot water is 152. Again, that's great. That's a great temperature. You can see that in that water pipe, Legionella, if there were any Legionella in our water, since we're north of 151, they can't live more than a couple of minutes and they're going to die. More than likely, you're going to see lower temperatures than that. Unfortunately, we see a lot of hospitals down around 120, which puts you in the ideal growth range. So it's definitely something, if you're not north of 120 on your hot water supply, you need to investigate that and get those water temperatures up, or you're placing your system in an ideal growth range for Legionella. Set point is set at 105. I need to go back and look, but I believe the set point on this faucet is 106. Basically, that is validating that we are able to maintain set point with the current available hot and cold water. So these results have been logged into a log file, which is available right below the cold water icon there. You see it says export results. If you click on that button, what will happen is it will export these results to a spreadsheet that you can then, through the iOS or Android device, email to yourself. So a really good way to verify what your water temperatures are. A couple of things to keep in mind is that if you don't see your water temperatures coming into these types of ranges on your first temperature check, it could be that your faucet is a long ways from the recirculated main, so it takes a long time for that hot water to get there. If that's the case, excuse me, if that's the case, you want to run multiple temperature checks. So simply go back to your temperature check screen and agree and walk through those steps again. I have seen systems where I needed to run up to 6 temperature checks to actually get the hot water up to a hot water temperature, because the faucet and that branch line is a long ways from the recirculated main. So that's something to keep in mind.